involved in election fraud. We have details of these and more stories coming your way if you stay with us for the next 20 minutes. Remember, the bulletin is live on DSTV, channel 279. We're also live on Facebook at TV3 Ghana. We begin from your election command center because while Member of Parliament Lariba Zuwera has withdrawn from race to be the party's candidate for the December polls after chaotic return, which ended inconclusive, the NPP was caught in a dilemma regarding the next line of action for the party in the constituency as the EC's Friday deadline for submission of nomination forms was fast approaching. The MP says her decision was in the best interest of the party.
Following the inconclusive of yesterday's premise or rerun, now the EC was not able to declare a winner. So based on that, I've decided that I want to step down and will not go contest the seat again. I'm doing this for the sake of the greater New Patriotic Party and Walwale constituency. I'm doing this for the sake of unity, peace, love for the constituency.
NPP Vice Presidential nominee Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh says the party will allow small-scale mining to thrive if it returns to power in December. This declaration comes in the wake of key labor unions demanding a ban on all forms of small-scale mining.
The last 2 weeks have seen spirited public discussions on the need for an end to illegal mining. This was as a result of the Ghana Water Company expressing frustration with its difficulty in treating polluted water for public consumption. The University Teachers Association of Ghana is demanding an outright ban on all kinds of small-scale mining, or the government risk a strike after September 30 should no action be taken. Other labour groups have also joined calls for some government action. The NPP's Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh says small-scale miners will be allowed to do their work. We will not shoot anyone. We will give everyone's excavator to them. You will be allowed to work on your concession. This will ensure that people in the town can fend for themselves. It is not true that Dr. Bahamia will allow small-scale mining. What we are against is mining on water bodies. Everyone will get some work to do. Everyone will be able to provide for themselves. It remains to be seen what steps government will be taking to respond to the renewed calls to deal with illegal mining.
Meanwhile, security consultant Dr. Victor Ducket says such utterances by politicians does not help in the fight against the Galamsey menace. He says all small-scale mining must be stopped for a full analysis to be conducted before the activity can continue.
Now, if you say you do a lot, you have to look at the content. What did you actually do? To what extent? Okay? And we are looking at continuity. You start a process, you have to be able to continue to stem out the rot in the system. Otherwise, you go back to the same problem and then you are reinvesting into it. Okay? Resources that could be used elsewhere is being used to fight the same menace that we are unable to climb out. And that is the issue. Now, we have to holistically attack this issue. Whatever be the case, as it says now, any politician that goes on a platform and promises the people that this issue will not sort of like be tackled head on, I think we need to be fair and call out those who are doing this big harm to this nation. This is not right. When eminent kings and chiefs are calling that this menace should stop, and then we have political figures go on platform to make promises for political scores, then I think we are in a big problem.
The Ghana Integrity Initiative has admonished the political class to crack the whip on persons engaged in illegal mining. Its Executive Director, Mary Ada, on the sidelines of a climate change conference in Accra, says the lack of sanction is a contributory factor for which people engage in the activity with impunity.
Civil society organizations, some labor groups and other individuals have called for a ban on small-scale and illegal mining in the country to save the country's water bodies. The Ghana Integrity Initiative's Executive Director, Mary Ada, says the problem has to do with the lack of political will and sanctions.
It is an issue of lack of knowledge, but it is also an issue of lack of compliance and sanctioning, and the fact that corruption continues to breed some of these behaviors. It is an issue of lack of political will. If our politicians or those we have given power to, according to the Constitution in Article 1:1, which says that the power resides in the citizen, and for whom we have given that power to a president to lead us, if the president so wishes, this fight would be an exhaustive one.
Despite several calls for government to declare state of emergency in Galamsey-prone areas, the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, is yet to comment on the menace. Meanwhile, stakeholders at a climate launch and inception meeting stressed the need for grassroots participation on issues of climate change for better formulation of policies.
I will want to see how we pick the issues right from the grassroots level and then bring it up at the district level. Then it can then be taken up at the national level. What we are rather saying is that the discussion is rather coming from the Acra level, and then it is pushed down to the district and say, go and do this, go and do that. When in actual fact, it might not be their felt need or their context-wise, it's not what they need.
Mary Ada also wants complex issues on climate change to be made simple and address corruption-related issues in the sector.
GII is particularly interested in engaging citizens across specific districts to ensure that we identify these gaps, the corruption risk factors, the gaps that hinder or hamper the engagement of citizens in this climate discourse.
Climate change has become one of the most urgent challenges negatively impacting communities, and environmental experts have called for the need to collectively fight against the menace. Safo Abuahine, TV3 News, Accra.
An exercise to acclaim the flag bearer of the National Democratic Party, NDP, turned dramatic as two groups presented themselves as flag bearers and running mates. The party is accusing the flag bearer-elect Nana Osei Mensah Bonsu of having dual nationality, but he refuses to budge.
A congress composed of delegates assembled at the headquarters of the National Democratic Party to witness the acclamation of the party's flag bearer by the Electoral Commission. However, two persons availed themselves as flag bearers. Alhaj Mohamed Frimpong, the General Secretary of the NDP, and the running mate to the flag bearer-elect, Nana Osei Mensah Bonsu, are now ruffling feathers. In April this year, Nana Osei Mensah Bonsu was elected by the party's Congress as flag bearer. On Tuesday, September 10, 2024, another conference was held to acclaim Nana Osei Mensah Bonsu by the Electoral Commission, but the flag bearer was shocked to the marrow after he was told that he was not going to be allowed to file his nomination with the EC as the leader of the NDP. He is being accused of possessing dual citizenship, Ghana and Canadian passports.
At the veteran, it came up strongly that he had dual nationality, Canadian, Ghanaian, and he assured us that he was going to get everything right. So we gave him the benefit of the doubt. Finally, today, Nana was to have proven beyond any reasonable doubt of the matter that he did it. But he kept on saying that, democratically, he wants to file so that anybody who wants to challenge him should bring proof that he's a Canadian citizen. And then we said that we will not take that risk.
An allegation he disputed.
It's neither here nor there.
Nana Osei Mensah Bonsu is not a Canadian. Nana Osei Mensah Bonsu is a Ghanaian. And Nana Osei Mensah Bonsu does not owe allegiance to any other country other than Ghana. So my problem with them is that they don't have the capacity to tell me I'm not qualified as a party. The High Court has ruled in 2016, Zeneta versus the NDC, that the political party does not have the right to disqualify anybody. It's the EC that has the right to disqualify. And I'm not ineligible, I'm qualified to contest.
The party has nominated the General Secretary, Alhaj Mohammed Frimpong, as flag bearer, and Christiana Collingwood Williams as running mate. Eventually, the Electoral Commission did not show up for the acclamation. Nana Osei Mensah Bonsu insists on filing his nomination with the EC on Wednesday, September 11, 2024. Stanley Nibleu, TV3 News, Accra.
Former chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kojo Afarijan, is proposing a treasonable charge on election officials who commit electoral offences with the aim of tempering the will of the people. He says such professional persons know the consequences of their actions and must not be allowed to go scot-free. Dr. Afarijan was speaking at the ongoing Ghana Bar conference in Kumasi.
In less than 90 days, eligible voters will decide on who becomes the next president of Ghana and those to form the 9th parliament. The stakes are high among the contesting political parties, with campaign activities being intensified across the country. There appears to be a growing mistrust by some opposition parties, with allegations of attempt to subvert the will of the people. But the Electoral Commission keeps assuring Ghanaians of conducting a fair, transparent and credible elections. Ahead of the December 7 election, former chairman of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kojo Afarijan, says electoral officials caught in their attempt to tamper with the electoral process must be handed stiffer punishment.
Persons who commit serious election offenses, particularly if they are professional election officials or electronic experts, must be severely punished for attempting to undermine the will of the people. Possibly a treasonable act, because they know exactly what they are doing.
Addressing members of the Ghana Bar Association, the election administrator also advised political parties to be vigilant at polling stations to prevent any anomaly.
The pin sheets are the most important, the only source documents for reconstructing election results. See, that's what we mean when we say elections are won or lost at the polling station. That's what it means.
The Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfred Yabu-Adame, is hopeful the Electoral Commission will deliver to the satisfaction of Ghanaians in the upcoming elections.
We must resist the vain efforts of naysayers who constantly sow seeds of doubt about the credibility of Ghanaian elections. The Electoral Commission has had a sound appreciation of the sacred constitutional responsibility it bears to the people since 1992.
President Akufo-Addo tasked stakeholders in the electoral process to pledge to uphold integrity for a successful election.
When elections are conducted fairly and transparently, the results accepted are accepted by all, even generally by the losers. This broad acceptance is essential for peace, stability, and the continued progress of the nation. The Akufo-Addo government, on its part, will do everything within its power to ensure that the upcoming elections are conducted in an environment of peace, fairness, and transparency.
From the camp of the opposition, the flag bearer of the NDC is promising a massive shake-up at the Cocoa Board upon assumption of office. John Dramani Mahama is accusing the regulator of fattening themselves at the expense of the poor cocoa farmer.
It was a major campaign promise by the then opposition in 2016 to cause an audit of the Coco Roads project awarded by John Mahama's administration. Upon assumption of office, the President Akufo-Addo suspended the project that saw a facelift of major roads in cocoa growing areas for an audit. No adverse findings have been raised for almost 8 years. In the areas where the Coco Roads had begun, there's outrage.
We passed that road, just a tiny road, which they can maintain and they can do it well. That for us, me and you can benefit from it. They didn't do it. They said it's from for John Mahama or other stuff. They didn't do it. If you promise someone and you we didn't do it, you have to apologize to us. We need some apology from our MPP.
And as we are speaking, we can just have a look of how the road has been destroyed. So I think it would be much better that they should come back and try to do something about the road, because it's very, very poor. Because as we are speaking, I'm a service personnel at Wamnafo SDA school. It is down there. You can just go straight down there to see how poor the road is. Because we have cocoa all around our area, but no cocoa roads. So I think they should come back and apologize and do something about the road for us.
Campaigning in Doma East, West and Central, the chiefs have registered their displeasure at the wanton neglect from government.
We see you as a father for all, but you need to be firm to crack the whip on your appointees who have milked the state. This is what Ghana will remember you for.
John Mahama assured them of some swift action.
Shake up. Shake up. Cocoa board.
Expect a massive shake-up at Cocoa Board. All those who have contributed to Cocoa Board collapse will be removed from the system.
President Nkrumah, your presidency now, I just say Cocoa economy no.
Cocoa Board must stand on its feet once more.
Na e was say omo baby kotna na nipa papa ebeje na omotehweso.
He also responded to the president's comment on free SHS at the bar conference.
Na no mitie o man panyi o se wo awo sika o pese o do back secondary school and fa no private school. Free SHS no e wo homa public schools no kwa. And so NDC I can say
we have said that our free SHS will cover both public and private schools. These are our own children and will not discriminate against them.
Oko public o yeah ba. Enti yaka say NDC ba ade a omaya omotwa private schools ne jano. Yeah, the private schools no beba abeka ho. But
a firm assurance has been coming from John Mahama on creating jobs in Doma.
Sepano na opese ototo a we will
assist you with anything you desire doing as a job. From bread baking to poultry, we are the government that cares.
Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Doma.
Away from your election command center, more than 500 suicide attempts are said to have been made in the last 6 months, with 81 deaths recorded. Experts have described the trend as disturbing, calling for urgent measures to put the situation under control. Come with me as I take you through this report. At age 16, Joseph Osafo found himself consumed by a sense of hopelessness. Battling a chronic disease for over a year, he began to believe that death would offer him the escape he sought. The thought of suicide became a very real consideration.
I was taken to every hospital. There was no cure. And then the doctor who attended to me, maybe he was also expressing his own frustration, told me, "Young man, do you believe in God?" I said, "Yes." "All right, then go and pray, otherwise you will die in 14 days.
In the darkest moments, Joseph almost gave up, but at age 17, something shifted. He fought through his thoughts and overcame the temptation to end his life.
I thought, how about if I end my own life? You know, when you have thoughts, what of course is ideation, the next important, dangerous thing that should come your way is when you have plans. I had a lot of help around me. My parents were around, my dad was praying for me, my mom was around. If you have such a thought and your stresses that you're going through, you don't have means of managing those stresses, then these thoughts are going to materialize in giving you strength to look for access to means.
Now at 57, Professor Joseph Osafo is not only a clinical psychologist, but also a suicidologist, a man devoted to saving others from the hole he once stood on the edge of. In Ghana, the rise in attempted and completed suicides is alarming. In the first half of 2024, 543 attempts and 81 deaths were recorded, higher than the total for 2023. Many of those affected are young people, like Joseph once was.
In Ghana, about 81 lives have been lost to suicide, with more than 500 attempted suicides in the first half of this year alone. This statistic is alarming when compared to the total recorded for the entire year of 2023. That stood at 48 completed suicides and 594 suicide attempts. So you can see the numbers are increasing.
Joseph reflects on his journey and believes that Ghana, like many other countries, still has much work to do in tackling mental health as a national issue.
Most schools don't have counselors in their schools. How do we prevent suicide and mental health challenges if we haven't put all of this in place? So governments have done well, but there's still more room for improvement.
As the world observes Suicide Prevention Day, he emphasizes the importance of having open conversations about mental health and suicide. For the Ghana Mental Health Authority, speaking about suicide does not suggest or encourage the act. Instead, it saves lives. They urges everyone to break the silence, support those in pain, and change the narrative on suicide in Ghana. As the theme, Changing the Narrative, calls for open conversations about mental health, the urgency to break the stigma and prevent more lives from being lost has never been more critical. Godwin Asidiba, TV3 News. Make sure you do speak up if you have such thoughts. On that note, that's how we end the morning news here on TV3 with me, Godwin Asidiba. For more news updates, kindly log on to 3news.com. New day continues shortly. Stay with us. See you soon.